Hi everyone, welcome to our first podcast. My name is CJ and
Mohammed.
welcome. So let's talk. Where are you from, Mohammed?
I'm Egyptian, but I was born and raised in the United Arab Emirates, in the capital of Abu Dhabi. Some people may not know where the United Arab Emirates or Abu Dhabi is, but everybody definitely knows Dubai.
Believe me, now a lot of Russians know where this city is.
It is the place to be nowadays, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is very popular. Okay, and I am from Russia. I'm from Vladivostok, from the very, very far eastern part of Russia, close to Japan, China, and North Korea.
When you were in Russia, what did you normally do? What was your profession at the time?
Well, I was an interpreter, and then, actually, my major is teacher, so I'm a teacher. And yeah, but it's not that well paid in Russia, so I decided to leave this country. And probably more, like 6 years ago, I went to China. I started teaching kids in China. And what about you?
Here's my funny story was that I'm a graduate from business administration from DC, and also I double majored doing managerial information system from Cairo. And I worked as a sales and marketing manager in Dubai for a good 6 to 8 years.
Dude, how come you are a teacher now here?
Well, the funny thing is that you say this, right? So I believe I was quite okay in my first profession as a sales and marketing manager, and I did quite well for myself. But it wasn't the passion that I wanted to pursue. I always saw myself inspiring other students or other people, to be precise. I would always watch these TED Talks and always wanted to see how it would feel to be standing on a stage, grasping the audience's attention, right? But I knew somebody had to start from somewhere, so I figured a change of career. And when I found the opportunity to jump into education, I just never looked back.
Wow, and what do you think? Do you enjoy this job now, this professional?
It's probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. I've worked a lot of jobs in the past, and I would always think at that time, whilst in that profession, I would have thought that was difficult, but I have to be honest, nothing is more difficult than teaching. And it's very, very hard working. It's one of the most difficult jobs I've ever seen. I'm not in the position to say, but I would think it's almost the same as being a doctor or an engineer, because you have to deal with many, many, many crazy kids. Depends, of course, on the age group, right?
Kids or parents?
No, you know what? Kids, because parents I can deal with.
Really?
Yeah, because my sales background helps me learn if you can calm an angry parent. It's that's simple. It's fine and dandy. And I've had angry parents coming from my neck because of like 2%. Why did my child get 98 and not 100%? And they would come from my neck, right? I guess I was blessed for having understanding parents, because it's not every day that you get those kind of people. And most of the parents were from the Middle East, so they're mostly Arabs from different parts of the Middle East, whether they're from the UAE or from Lebanon or Palestine, any of these places. But my profession just helped. I never really wanted to look back. But you've always been a teacher?
Well, no. Actually, I always try to avoid this profession, In my city, when I was born, there is a university, it is now very famous for its teaching staff. I always wanted to learn foreign languages, In my university was very famous for its teaching staff, so I decided to go there. But the problem was that this university is for teachers. So I decided, okay, I'll take only languages, and I don't want to study any pedagogical stuff and all this crap. Well, after that, I found a job as an interpreter, German and English. And after 1 year, the project was finished, and I found myself, without a job. And the only opportunity was to go to school. So I decided, okay, fine, I will go to school. Well, after 8 months, I decided, no way. The salary, unfortunately, the salary was very low. And not because, my qualification, because of that I was young or something, or not experienced. No, it's the salary teachers, doctors in my country is very low.
doctors and teachers.
Oh yeah,
doctors.
Yeah, doctor. Probably in Moscow, but Moscow it's not Russia, so we have this saying. In Moscow, it's probably high. Who knows? But in Far East, in like in the middle part of Russia, yeah, the salary is very low. So a lot of people are trying to leave this country. Teachers, doctors, and I left to China. I decided, okay, they needed teachers. Why not? So I left there. Could you imagine? In Russia, I got like, let's say, I don't know, $200, $150 per month. Yeah.
I'm sorry, $200.
Yeah, per month. A month. Yeah, a month. Seriously, I'm not kidding you.
Like,
When I got this, this paper with my salary, I just said, whoa. It was. I was very shocked.
$200.
Yeah, 200 maximum. So, and I decided to leave this country. And in China, my first salary was $1,000, and I spent for apartment and for food, I spent like $200 probably.
So I have to ask you, because you got $200.
Yeah.
Did you pay rent?
Of course, my rent was like this is the funniest thing. My rent was like $300, and I got $200. I was lucky because I lived with my girlfriend and she worked as well. So
So the bills were split.
yeah, of course.
So strange.
Otherwise, we couldn't survive.
That is so strange.
Oh yes.
And what about the utilities? Like, what was the range of the utilities? Like water, electricity. and
I calculated it together, with the rent and the utilities. So it's totally
about
$300,
$300. And
more or less.
And food-wise, what was?
Food. Well, food. I don't remember. That was like.
Did the school feed you?
No, of course not. Come on, who feed you? No.
It's like, come on, you're going to be teaching our
You.
shit kids, and you're going to. You want us to feed you too?
Nobody feeds you. Come on, in school. The problem. One of the problems, let's say, was that I had. How many classes did I have? Like the first, the second, the third, the fourth grades, 3 or 4 first grades, 3 or 4 second, and so on and so forth. And they didn't split these classes. Normally, there are like 30 kids in one class,
So-
and we split for English lessons. We split them
Right.
like in 2 groups. They
Right.
didn't split them. They told me, well, you do whatever you want, but do something. We need, in report, we need to write down that we have English classes in our school. So just do whatever you want. And I said, fine, cool, 30 kids. Can you imagine 30 kids, first grade? It's like
First grade.
first
30
grade.
kids.
Yeah, first grade. Yes, like
Was there a teacher assistant?
no, me only.
Get the hell.
The only me. Well, yeah, I'm not joking.
30 kids. With
Not
teachers.
joking. And kids in Russia, well, they are not all of them are spoiled, but when I went to China, I was shocked because Chinese students, they are very polite. Teacher for them is like a god. No way they will disturb you or something. Of course they are. There were some 5 jerks who always sleeping or playing, but they were polite, nothing like no messing around. The highest amount of students in my Chinese class was like 84, if I'm not mistaken. 74 of them were girls.
So 84 students in one classroom.
Yeah, I didn't have any assistant in Chinese class. I didn't have any assistant, but they were very calm. 40 minutes, I managed to do everything with them. Well, probably not with all of them, but, well, who wanted, they worked.
It was inspiring to see
Yeah.
at least one student that would actually
Yeah.
come out of your class learning something. I
Yeah.
think that's
They were more than one.
the fruit of, at least, I'm saying,
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
very least, at least the fruit of any teacher, I would assume, is to see at least one student to take off or learn something from your lesson. But god damn it, 84 students in one classroom.
There is another thing. A friend of mine, he was not that lucky. He had 90 kids of grade 2 or grade 1. Like they were in China, they had grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 in high school. So they were like, how old were they? Like 14-ish. And this was the worst class, officially. They sent all, let's say, not very clever kids there. Very active, the most well,
active,
I don't like this word, but most stupid kids.
Come
No, this was the official position of the school.
The politically correct word would be the most challenging.
Challenging.
They have
Yeah.
leadership. They have leadership characteristics.
I like this polite form, but we all call them jerks, because I've never taught them, but my colleague, he told me, you look at their eyes and you see the wall behind them, like.
That's how transparent they are. But how did you ever learn all 84 kids? Can you? How would you know? I mean, this sounds wrong for me to say, but would you know the names of the kids?
No way, dude. First of all, they had Chinese names.
Come on.
And come on, like, hey, you over there, whatever your name, what's your name? It was first time. What's your name? He's like, Qin Fanjun. Whatever. Just, how do you feel today? I'm very happy today, teacher.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well, some of them took. Well, they are not. They were very happy, and besides, they took some English names, like John, George. Well, I had like 5 Johns in one class.
Really?
John number 1, John number 2, John number 3.
For sure. Really?
Yeah,
Those Johns in China.
like they're English names, not the original Chinese names. But for me to pronounce it comfortable, like they just took randomly English names, and I had one Dimple. Dimple in a class, one cow in a class. No joking, dude.
On,
No joking. It's not. It wasn't my idea. It was there.
Twinkle and Dimple. Actually, funny story. I met in my line of work in sales and marketing. When I met a couple of twins. Right, they were twins. One was named Twinkle, and her sister was
Dude.
One was Twinkle, and the other one was like Dimple or something. Like Dinkle and Twinkle. These are 2 girls, Filipino girls.
Uh-huh.
It's hilarious, man. Can you imagine having like Twinkle and Dinkle as 2 girls? God, but dude, that is. I'm still astounded by having 84 students in one class.
Girls. They were like 16 years old, and the first question,
Girl's name
teacher.
is John.
No, 10 kids, 10 boys, like 84 students, 70 girls, and 10 boys ish. And the first question they asked me, teacher, are you married? I said yes, and the sign of all the girls.
Aww.
Yeah, like
Wow,
so.
But when you walked in the streets of China, where in China were you in?
Oh, I was the first place. It was in the north, Shaanxi, if I'm not mistaken. Well, if some of our followers know, or they will open our map, Chinese map, I mean, they can find Datong City.
Datong City. Right.
Yeah, and 40 minutes by bus from this Datong City, there is a small, literally very small town. So I worked there. Then I moved to Beijing, of course. The salary was higher, and Beijing was bigger. I lived close to the Chinese Great Wall.
Right.
So
Dude, that's
yeah,
awesome.
the city, like the name is I forgot what was the name of this place. There is Mutanyu place. It's the entrance to one of the entrances, so to the Great Wall.
That's interesting.
And then near there is a city near Shanghai. It's called Chinese Venice. So I lived there. It's called Suzhou. So the last 2 years I lived there. This is an amazing place. True. This is kind of south. Shall say south of China.
South of China.
Well, yeah.
Wait, so in total, how many? So this is 6 years ago.
Mhm.
In total, how many years did you live in China?
5.
Lord have mercy.
Well, no,
How's-
China is awesome.
How's your Cantonese or Mandarin?
Oh no! I can't bargain. For example, this is the most important skill. Yeah, you have to bargain. So
So
I
I'm never
can-
going to give you a bargain as far as I
no,
know.
but you can. They give if you can speak. You can speak. You can say something like "ni hao," for example, and they, wow, you speak Chinese. I say, yes, of course. So how much is that? I can ask, how much is that? They will tell you, and you can say, wow, it's expensive. Okay, for you it's like minus 10 yuan. So, but still, it's sometimes it works.
Wow. When you walked in the streets of China, did people go like in Japan? They usually, when they see gaijins, they say gaijins is anybody that's not
In Chinese, it's low, like.
So, and whenever they saw you, they go like, "Can I take a picture with?"
Of course,
Really?
but probably in Japan they are more polite. In China they don't ask. They just
go
go,
like, "Yeah, get your ass over here."
there is a foreigner. Hee-hee, selfie.
Were they ever rude like to you?
No. Well, I was lucky enough. I'm big enough, so they
Compared to all of them.
not to all, but to many of them. So I'm bigger, I'm stronger. So they have never been rude to me. Yeah. they're very polite. They smile. I like them.
That's
It's when you're in China, you feel safe. You know, there are so many cameras, so you
everything's
feel everything
under
is
surveillance.
yeah, true. And police, they're very it's very friendly. Policemen, they're friendly.
Do they speak English, the Chinese policemen, or not?
Well, once I had very interesting experience. I was in a police station for Czech. We lived, this city. What was it? Huairou. Huairou. It's a place where all the representatives of all countries are gathered together for big 8 or whatever it is.
Big eight?
It's big 7. What's the name of it?
Oh,
You know.
I know what you're talking about. I think big, big something.
I mean,
Yes, you're right.
so presidents and blah blah blah. The
Yeah.
politicians, they gather together, discussing something. So this city was especially made for these meetings, and we lived there, and we got this visa to work in another district.
All right.
So, and police asked me, "Why are you working here?"
Out of all places.
Well, they thought we are spies or terrorists or something.
Russian spy.
Yeah, something like that.
Textbook Russian
And-
spy.
Yeah, and so I spent like 5 hours there in this police station, and they spoke English, but other people, well, they don't. Well, a little bit probably.
Like, did they interrogate you? Put a light on top
No,
of your
but we have an.
what are you doing here?
But they closed all the windows. They,
Are you
they have.
KGB?
Yeah. Well,
Did
they,
you?
They didn't. No, I'm not. But they didn't ask me about this. They asked me, "What's the purpose of you being of you living in here in this place? Why?" And so what? And then they went to my place. They brought some, I don't know, something like a small computer or something.
Right.
They checked, but they didn't enter the apartment. But they checked, probably it was kind of, I don't know, checking the bomb or something.
Are
They
they-
tried.
So wait, don't they need a warrant to check your house? Or that-
Dude, it's China. They
this,
don't
this,
need
this
anything.
isn't the U.S.
They
though.
don't need anything.
You can't
You-
beat.
But they didn't enter. That was something good that they didn't enter. They just stand at the door and they just check with this. I don't know what that thing looks like. I don't know.
Were you in a Were you living with someone? Like, were you married or in a relationship?
Yeah,
at the
we
time?
were there with my wife.
Yeah.
We
And
spent.
how's that experience for her? Because I can imagine she's a bit traumatized.
At the police station, she was fine, but when we left, of course, she was shaking. She called her friend and she said, "Fuck." That was the first word, like, "Fuck." I will tell you something.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
But did you ever feel like, did you get paranoid after this kind of experience?
No.
Feel like people are
We all know.
watching you or anything?
No way. I don't. Okay, all right.
I mean, you've got nothing to
We were
hide.
interrogated,
Obviously, you
so
wouldn't
who
care.
cares? No. I mean, no. When I saw police at school, for example, policeman or policewoman, yeah, I felt like, oh, gee, probably she went to ask me about something. But no, she didn't, or he didn't tell anything. So, no, I didn't
That is
tell.
so strange, though. But, I mean, I can see on what grounds they would think that, and then on the purpose of. You do fit the criteria, by the way. I'm not gonna lie.
What-
Even on it, the whole thing, like, if I was a cop, my own country, you would fit a criteria.
How come?
I'm just saying, when you look at somebody, you go,
Just be-
this guy killed someone. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you're a murderer. I'm just saying
But you could be a
you
murderer.
could be,
Of
right?
course I
There's a possibility. I wouldn't ask. I'll ask no questions, so tell me no lies.
Lucky we are not alone in the school,
For lie,
Yeah.
who told you this is not recorded? Two sides. Now, so after China, you moved on back to.
That was a tragedy. We went back to Russia for our visas, to
Right.
renew visas, and it was 2019.
Also
January.
everybody's favorite year.
Yep. So,
Everybody's
and we
favorite
stuck
year.
there for 2 years. China was locked, everything. And probably we were lucky because we came back. Because a lot of people suffered in China. Everything, nothing worked there. So cities were locked.
Yeah,
Literally.
How did people eat though? Did you have any idea how people used to survive?
I don't know. Maybe, probably they had deliveries or something, but it didn't work well. In China, delivery is the best thing. Post and delivery. But
Really?
yeah.
Post.
Really?
It's a massive country, but I would imagine
In
post-
China, it's amazing. It
That's
works
fantastic.
perfectly. You order something on Taobao. Man, I miss Taobao here. In every country, I miss Taobao because you order in 2 days, it's here. 2, 3, maximum 4 days. If it's, I don't know, from if you're on the south and it comes from the west or north,
Right.
very, very north, you know.
Yeah.
Everything, you can buy everything there.
I would imagine the cuisine. Did you and your missus ever had a problem with the food there?
That's a good
okay.
question. Well, I miss Russian food because in China, Chinese food is, well, it depends on the part of China, of course. The southern part has its own cuisine, northern part has its own cuisine, but in general, well, in Suzhou, it's let's say southern part of China.
Right.
Everything is sweet and like fatty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they
Like
usually use like
pork,
animal fat. Animal
pork,
fat.
yeah, pork in sour sauce,
Right.
something like that.
But the northern part, what do they normally use? Spicy.
Spicy,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But the spiciest food is in Sichuan. I've never tried it, but they say
east or west.
good question. I have no idea.
Oh, no
actually.
point.
Okay, but the Sichuan, they said that Chinese even cry when they eat this food.
Oh, no,
I've never
I'm good.
tried.
I'm good. I don't want to live. I don't want to waste my entire day in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's bad enough like that. But I appreciate spicy food, just not the kind that makes me cry.
Yeah, but spicy. Yeah, spicy. They have. You can say like pula. Maybe Chinese people will correct me. It's like not spicy.
You'll be fine. Like you won't live in the toilet. You may just you may just make it on time.
Yeah, you will be fine.
You'll just make it on time. You're not gonna be a fire dragon.
No, not
Poopy
fire
dragon just
dragon.
pooping
No.
fire out of your ass.
No, you will be fine. You will survive.
So you spent 2 years in Russia. How did you survive after that? Like, what did you do? Like, how could you make ends meet, as they say?
This was the worst 2 years, because nothing worked.
I can imagine.
But the first year was okay. So I worked online. I taught English, German, and Russian. So it was fine. I earned enough.
Enough for you to survive.
Enough, yeah. Even enough to spare something.
Right.
And the second year was worse because of some political, let's say, decisions. We had some problems with bank cards, with people, in foreign countries.
Right.
They stopped liking us.
Of course.
So, yeah.
I get it.
And then we decided to move somewhere else.
So why Turkey out of all places though? So you moved from Russia straight to Turkey, right here.
Yeah. Well, not straight.
Not
I went from Vladivostok to Moscow by train, like 6 days.
Bullet train.
We don't have bullet trains.
Really?
No, the whole world has it, but we don't because we have our own way. So we don't have bullet trains. Of course, we have some names, names like bullet train, fast train, but fast train, but it's not. If you compare it with Chinese, like 300 kilometers per hour, in our like 90 kilometers per hour, it's nothing. So yeah, and 6 days by train and then by plane here. Well, I had two choices. I have two options: Vietnam or Turkey. I decided to choose Turkey because, well, I thought this country was close to Europe and probably I could travel, I could visit Europe. Well, that's why I'm here.
It's interesting because before I came here, I actually was trying to apply to Vietnam.
Well,
but I have.
it's never too late.
Well, it's never too late. But the point that I made that decision was or retracted that decision was because Vietnam has a major paperwork problem. So I have an Irish friend of mine who left Dubai from the school that I was working in over there, and she decided to move on, and she went to Vietnam. And she's Irish, and it took her a significant amount of time to get her paperwork done. And Vietnam doesn't have any political issues so far, at least not with Ireland, as far as I know.
Good for them.
As far as I heard, but the paperwork is ridiculous because they'll ask you to attest, meaning you have to get a stamp from this consulate, get this certificate stamped there, and you have to make sure that you get this sorted out here before you decide to move to let's say Hoi An, I think is the capital, if I'm not mistaken. Hanoi. Thank you. To Hanoi and
probably not, but I know this. This is a very.
It's a H word. I cannot recall. I haven't been there yet. So if I do, I'll remember it. So pardon me for all my Vietnamese viewers. But yeah, it was. But then when I realized the hassle of just applying, and the competition of being a teacher, specifically in Vietnam, is ridiculous.
Really?
A lot of Europeans move there
Oh yeah, of course.
because they get paid stupid amount of money. They get everything done for them. It's just the paperwork is a hassle. So you'll see people just flying there and saying, "Hey, I'm in Vietnam. Is anybody? And I have a passport of a native,
I'm a native
language
speaker,
country.
yeah.
I'm a native speaker with this and that kind of passport. Does anyone need a teacher?
Of course they do all of that.
And it's hilarious. So then just Turkey just plowed itself on my lap all of a sudden, and it was fun. It was a big decision, but I figured, you know what? Why not? A lot of people would go like, "Who the hell leaves Dubai and comes to Turkey?" Right? In terms of financial status or place, but I mean, Dubai is a beautiful, beautiful country, and for me, it would be my first home rather than my own country at the time being, because of the experience, the people. It's a very big crock pot of different nationalities, of different people from all around the world. But I needed to change because it was a very Dubai is a very hard, like everybody's working, everybody's hustling, everybody's grinding to get that, trying to make that money, right? And Dubai is that kind of metropolitan city that people want to get that to make money at some point. Because if you live in Dubai and you don't make money, you're not living. But I needed to disconnect at some point, because my whole life, like 7 days a week, you'd be working at least, if you're not working 12 hours a day, you're not working.
Yeah. Wow.
It was that kind of decision.
So when I came, worse than in China, I suppose.
No, I mean, nobody beats the Chinese when it comes to production.
Come on, that's a myth,
Really?
Of course.
I mean,
people exaggerating, they overestimating.
The country doesn't allow Facebook. The country also does not allow
Instagram.
It doesn't.
YouTube.
But they're very clever. You do know that this is a very clever tactic, because it's the biggest population on Earth.
Yeah.
And they were like, why would the Americans make money off us? Cancel it. It's clever.
But still they use it. I mean, they have VPN. They are clever.
I mean, out of the how many billions that is there.
Well, yeah. But they are very good. Well, they're very satisfied with their own platforms like WeChat, Baidu.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. And I respect a country that does that. It doesn't go like, we don't need this foreign app or website to communicate with one another. Why don't we just we're a country that's known for production. Why don't we just make our own? And they do. They're huge manufacturers.
They are very good at copying,
Oh man, I've seen videos, heard stories, and it baffles me. I've seen people make Class A knockoff Rolexes that even I mean, I'm not saying all people, but some entrepreneur.
I have my watch, I bought them there. Like, it's the original Carrera.
Dude, see, I'm telling you, even if you're an expert, if you're a connoisseur of watches, it's very difficult to figure out if this is a real knockoff or not. I like countries that are clever, because there was a saying that says, thieves steal and thieves steal, but artists borrow. And I think China as a country is more of an artist rather than stealing.
Yeah. But if they have opportunity to not to work,
right,
they will use it. Like, we know them as a hardworking people,
right?
I mean, but that's not that.
Is it not?
Well, they are hardworking, but if they have a chance to get rid of their duties, let's say, so they will do it. But what I like about them is that from 12, if I'm not mistaken, till 2, the whole country has a nap. They can sleep.
They have a Spanish siesta, do they?
Yeah, kind of.
Do they?
Well, I don't know. It's not because of it's hot,
Even in school? Like,
it's cool. It's the first place when I saw this, Every teacher has its own bed, like a small bed. It's cool.
They have a futon for every teacher.
And they can sleep. Yeah, and they sleep there. Students are sleep. Well, they can sleep in their dormitories, and teachers are sleep in their classrooms.
Wait, students have dormitories?
It's a boarding. Well,
I was about to say, is it a boarding school?
Yeah, boarding school. Many of the schools are boarding.
Hang on. Why would they? Is that the government schools or private schools?
Good questions. Some of them are government, some of them are private.
But I'll be surprised to say, like, okay, I'm going to send my 12-year-old to a boarding school from now, and I don't see him except twice a year.
Why 12? You send them from when they are 6 or 7.
So a 6-year-old child goes to a boarding school.
There is
all right, bye.
Yeah,
bye, mommy, bye, daddy. I'll see you
in 2 weeks.
So it's 2-week program.
2 weeks. Then no, I mean, once in 2 weeks you can pick them up for 2 days about 2 days for weekends, and they will eat a lot, they will watch, they play computer games, and you send them back to school.
I've
It's
never
not
heard this before.
everywhere, but I mean, it's not everywhere, but
The
there
concept,
are such.
the
There are
concept
such
itself
schools.
is wow, man. I've never heard this. It was never. I've never really dug into this before.
I like this about Chinese schools.
Would you, if you have your child, would you send them off to a boarding school when they're 6 years old?
That's a good question. Why not?
It's an interesting because of the cultural difference.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, I wouldn't think like in the Middle East, if that option was available. I'm not saying that everybody would not accept it. I would say at least 98% would say no to the idea to send a 6-year-old to a boarding school.
Why not? There are teachers there. They will control. They will look after them.
Fair and dandy, but I would assume also Russian kids would be like Russian parents are they're very attached to their kids at some point.
Yeah, but we also have boarding schools.
For 6-year-olds?
Well, I'm not sure about
For 6-year-olds?
According to our students and parents, I would assume that some of our parents would choose this opportunity.
I get it. I get when you say it's the like oh god, I can't deal with this kid anymore.
Yeah.
Go back to school.
Let's get rid of him. Darling, let's get rid of our kid.
Let's pack your bags. You're going somewhere special.
Where? I don't care
Oh,
where.
don't worry. There's somewhere where they really love you.
Yeah.
But what's a cultural thing that you because you've traveled around, right? And you've been around in different countries and different places. Well, what's something that's cultural that is very Russian that you would do that other people go like, what is that? That's so strange.
I don't know.
Like for example, if I were to give you something that's cultural from my part of the world, and this is something that most people know is that Muslims have the opportunity, men have the opportunity of having 4 wives, but just because you have the license to do so, that is not that doesn't apply to everybody, right? For example, certain parts of the world we would like to eat rice with our own hands, but that's not everybody. That doesn't apply to everyone. But it's a very cultural thing that goes way back because people used to eat with their hands, even the most posh people.
It's up to you, or I mean, you can choose whether you eat with your hands or with a spoon.
So looking at the Gulf area, right? Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, UAE, and Bahrain, right? So when they have because they have copious amounts of food, huge amounts. It's a mountain of rice and meat all over, right? And if you're inviting guests over, the guests usually have the option of eating with their spoon or eating with their hand, but nobody goes in the middle of the plates and grabs something in the middle.
That's what I actually imagine.
But it's a huge tray, so you have like an area that nobody else in that circle is going to touch. Therefore, it's okay for you to eat. And obviously, people wash their hands because, come on, man, I don't want to be working on my car and I have a handful of grease and start eating. But you get what I'm saying. So this is a cultural thing, and I've seen people frown upon the idea. Now, in my household, we don't usually eat with our hands, but we have the option of doing so. Like me and my older brother, we're okay with that, but the rest of my other siblings, they don't do that. To them, they're a bit too their etiquette is too posh.
Oh, okay.
There are certain foods that is nice to eat with your own hand. Like, have you ever had like a big chunk of meat? You just want to grab it like that, like a caveman, and tear the meat out of the bone. That sort of feeling is for us, but this is something that is very cultural in this side of the world. In Egypt, though, not everybody eats with their hands. Certain parts of the countries eat with their hands, and I'm sure you must have seen it, at least in the movies. Arabs have something called a kandura or a dishdash. The kandura is technically that white-looking dress.
Yeah.
A robe.
Yes,
Just if you may. Some presidents of countries, they wear that, and this goes way back. This is a very, very cultural thing. They don't wear suits unless they're traveling somewhere and they want to look inconspicuous. They don't want people to see them. So this is a very cultural thing, and I wear that too. I have my own.
It's very,
I know.
it's very difficult
Look at the shock
to
in your
imagine
face.
you in this.
Imagine the shock in your face. Yeah, but it's because again, this goes back to our heritage. That's how we are. I would assume in Russia, certain parts of the area, certain parts have that I can't remember the name, but the winter hat that was known because of extreme weathers and
Wind. Oh, you mean with the so-called ears?
with the ear covers. Yeah,
Yeah, we have.
it's not everybody, but some people wear that.
It was like popular in the Soviet Union.
These are some cultural things that people look at and go like, "That's so strange. That is so weird."
You look very Russian, or you look very Arabic.
Yeah,
in this
Europeans, when Europeans see this kind of options that Muslim or Arab cultures have, they always look at it. It's like, that's so different. That's so strange. What's up? What would Russia, like, what's a Russian cultural thing that you have that would probably be looked at?
This is a very good question. Honestly, I've never thought about it. Well, let's. I will answer probably your question a little bit later. What about these, wives in your country?
Right.
I mean, every, let's say,
Religion.
every man,
It's a religious
can
thing.
have like how many wives?
4 is the maximum.
4. So you have to feed them, right?
I mean,
Well, can't
they
feed
are
themselves?
human beings,
No, I
they're
mean,
not-
yeah, of course, but
No. Yeah, of course you have to feed them.
you have to feed them.
Of course you have to.
And like even you can take 4 wives, yeah, but you have, I mean, to earn enough money to
Yes.
buy clothes, whatever you need, and so on and so forth.
So here's the part that everybody looks and frowns upon, but that is not really discussed more. So there is also part of the equality. Now, I don't mean gender equality.
Mhm.
I mean, if I'm going to give, let's say, if I give a pocket money to one of my housewives, if she gets, let's say, 2,000, then I have to give the second one 2,000. I have to give the third one 2,000. I have to give the fourth one 2,000. If I bought with my money a car to wife number 1, wife number 2, number 3, number 4 also has to get the same rate of a car. Like, I don't give her a Ferrari and give the rest of them like a Toyota Camry or a Shaheen or a
You
Bugatti.
have to earn a lot.
I mean, it depends.
You.
See, you would think that it's expensive, but we have a certain belief where the reason being is because men have a tendency. We as men, whether married or not, we look at other women.
Of course.
This is true, and anybody who denies this is full of it,
Mhm.
is trash. And let's be very honest with one another. But to eradicate the possibility of adultery, sleeping with other women outside wedlock, you have the opportunity to do so. Now, the problem with most people who view this idea, they go like, "Oh, so you marry her without wife number 1's permission?" Okay, look, that is something that some people do, but it's preferred out of respect for the wife that you have to let her know that I am going to get married again for so and so reason. Let's say wife number 1 is unable to bear children, and I'm a person that wants children, but I don't want to divorce her because she's somebody special to me, because she's my wife regardless, right? But she cannot bear any child, she can't bear children with me. So instead of divorcing her and let her have a miserable life, and she'll feel depressed and sad and all that stuff, she has to come to terms in the acceptance where it's okay for me to marry wife number 2 who is able to bear me the children that I want.
But if she can't cook, for example, you can marry wife number 3.
That's a different story. That's a different story. That is a different story. And I say this because I come from a cultural background where my father was married to 3 women, and we grew up to this.
So you have like 3 mothers.
We have 3 moms, but we don't go like, this is mom number 1, mom number 2. We don't look at it that way. It's like auntie, and then the rest are my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So my father married my mother after, when he was already married to a Zimbabwean lady, to which she bared 3 children. And my father married my mother, and then after my mother, he married a Egyptian British lady as a third, and had 2 children with her as well. So we were like one, and we didn't live in the same house. We were more or less the same building, like very close proximity from one another. But when you're a child, you don't see the differentiation. You don't see like, why are you darker than me? Why is my hair silky and your hair is? We don't see that. It's not something, as children don't see that kind of thing, right? But as you progress in time, it's people start asking questions, so it kind of puts a dent or doubt in in how people view you. But again, like I said, it's a cultural difference as you grow older, and people look at it. It's very strange. clothes, for example. Like when I told you the kundura is something that we wear because this is based on our heritage. People look at it and they go like, "Why are you wearing a dress?" But funny enough, the same people that ask me that are the same people that go to church and their priest is wearing something similar. When I find that very funny, like why would it be funny on me, but it's not funny on your priest?
Fair enough.
Clothing-wise, in Russia, what's the traditional clothing in Russia, for example? That's
Like traditional, we don't wear it, but
not anymore, or it's
No.
just not something that you wear.
not anymore. I mean, we can wear it on the stage, probably if we play like
A certain dance, I'm assuming.
dances or something
the women-
cultural, exactly. What you're showing.
That sort of leg.
Kazachok or something.
Oh
Yeah.
my lord, man! My knees just hurt just watching somebody do it.
True, the same. But we don't wear it in our everyday life, So, no, nothing special. We wear Chinese, I mean, made in China clothes, Nothing.
What about food? So,
Food? Well, potatoes,
I mean,
meat.
come on, how are you different than Irish people? So Irish people also eat potatoes.
We don't drink
Everybody-
so much,
That
much as they do.
No, that's not true.
Irish
It's
drink
not true.
more than Russians,
That
come
is
on.
not true.
We need an Irish guy.
Well, that is not true. I mean, everybody takes pride. I mean, Germans would say they drink more. I wouldn't know.
They drink more beer, true. But Irish, I think they are the leaders.
Like,
Come on.
they drink like fish.
We need an Irish expert here.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know any at the time being. Hey, but at some point, somebody can throw in a comment. What is this like Russia in terms of food? Do you have varieties besides potatoes? I mean,
Of course we do. Come on.
potatoes is all we eat.
No, that's not, but it's an essential dish, let's say so.
It's a staple in your
Yeah,
diet.
like mashed potatoes or, I don't know, fried potatoes or whatever.
You're just giving me different
Meat.
variations of food, man. Come on.
Meat.
What is the most preferred meat in Russia?
Jesus. Like
Preferred
pork,
Pork is the number one.
I guess so.
Not fish, not cow, lamb, or it depends on which part of Russia you're from.
This is a very interesting question. I've never thought about it. Pork, chicken, fish, seafood. Yeah, nowadays it's expensive, but still. Cows. Yeah, not
What's-
that much, but
So in the hierarchy, number one would be
chicken.
chicken would be
Yeah,
number
I
one.
guess so.
Number
Pork.
two, pork would be number two.
Yeah, I guess so. Cows.
Three would be cows. Four,
lambs and all this. stuff.
lamb is number four in Russia. It's not.
Well, it's I mean northern part probably like what's the name Chechnya or
Chechnya,
something
yeah.
like this.
Yeah, because I can see what you mean. With Chechnya, they would mostly have lambs, goats and so on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
seafood would be the last in the food chain.
Somewhere in the middle because it also depends on the part of Russia.
Are you in the coastal area?
I'm close to the sea, but seafood in my region is like a bit expensive. Shrimps, fish, but we do eat them, of course.
Interesting. All right, weddings. How is weddings? Russian weddings. How is it different than most of the world? Like I'm sure you've seen like American weddings. How it is.
Yeah.
How is Russian weddings different compared to?
Well, we
American?
don't have this, tradition when the father leads the bride to the
walk her down the aisle. You don't have that.
No, we don't. We can ask for this, but people, in the this is the special place where we have these weddings. They will be surprised, like, why we don't do this. So yeah, and what else?
Walk me through.
It's not religion. I mean, usually it's without the priest.
Really?
There is a special government,
The town hall.
I don't
call
know.
it a town hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to go there, sign here.
You
here,
sign,
you're married.
yeah, there is a woman who, there is a kind of, an official ceremony. So there are people like parents, friends, they look at you. There is Mendelssohn waltz, the music, yeah. And, you give the ring to your bride, she gives the ring to you, and then, ta-da, your husband, your wife, get the hell out of here.
What? No ceremony, nothing.
That's it. I mean, what else do you want?
I don't want
After
anything.
that,
I'm just surprised that.
After that, you could go and to the restaurant, for example.
Right.
All of the guests they go to the restaurants. Brides, wife and husband, they can take pictures. They invite photographer, and that's it. And after that, probably they will travel somewhere.
Who pays for the whole ceremonial
Gee,
thing?
this is a good question. Well, reasonable people,
Right.
they spend this amount of money, like they don't borrow. They
Right.
just spend as much as they can.
As much as
As
what
they
they have.
can
This is
afford.
what I have.
Yeah,
this
that-
is how much I'm going to spend.
Right. And not reasonable people. They some of them go to bank to borrow money.
I don't fucking-
Some of them ask their parents to pay for. I know even a couple. They got married. They spend like, gee, how much did they spend? Okay, they spent a lot. They took money from bank, they borrowed, and in 5 months they divorced, and they had to pay
Both of them.
debt. Of course,
Well, good. You know what? Well deserved. If it was the guy, then he's an idiot.
yeah, of course.
But seriously, man, it's that. I mean, at least I hope they learned the lesson. Why would you borrow money?
Because you show off.
Yeah.
You show that you can afford this party. You have this dress, this suit, and blah blah blah.
It's crazy. I've noticed in Russia, some people wear the ring. The women, of course, they wear the rings on the right side rather than the left.
It's usually married people wear rings on the right side of
Yeah.
his finger.
on the right in the ring finger of the
Yeah.
right side.
Yeah.
Right. So in most of the other worlds, including the Arab world, Egypt at least, I can
Mhm.
speak of, they usually wear it on the left. What's the significance with the right in Russia?
No, in my country, if I'm not mistaken, people who are wearing wedding rings on the left hand
Are engaged.
Widows. No.
Oh, they're widows.
Yeah. So,
What?
Yeah, the right hand is for married.
For real?
Yeah, that's what I've heard at least. Yeah.
Wow, man, I've never.
I'm not
this
a
is new.
professional, you know.
But still, that's interesting. I've never. I wouldn't fly it past you guys. But seriously, so okay. So ideally, I like the idea of in a Russian wedding, you just go to a town hall, sign a couple of papers. Somebody just goes pulls out like a
right, champagne
Yeah.
and
and then
Yeah,
you
food.
guys don't throw rice at each other.
well, we can. Well, it's not obligatory,
That's
but
what I
we can.
I hate that.
After this party, you just take rice out of your
Yeah,
hair.
I can imagine the woman spent 3 hours, so some idiot throws a rice on your hair.
And then, but there is a good part in it. You know, you can take rice out of your boobs. You go, oh, you have something.
Well, I have lunch.
Yeah.
Well, give me some potatoes.
Yeah, with meat.
What? All right. So, what is the usual honeymoon destination for mostly Russia?
Nowadays, I'm not
No,
sure.
back in the day, like let's say 5-10 years ago. Let's say 5 years ago.
It depends on the
Budget,
Budget.
right? Well,
Turkey,
average budget.
Turkey,
Turkey is the
yes,
place to be.
Turkey, Vietnam, China. Yeah, there is a part. What's the name? Chinese. What's the name? Chinese resort. I forgot the name. So they go there. There is a sea there, so everything is all inclusive. You know.
Really, China? I have never heard anyone say.
China,
I'm
or
going to-
15 years ago, China was very, cheap. So you can buy a lot for nothing.
just a few
Yeah,
for a few
yeah,
coins.
Yeah.
Out of a few coins, but
Yeah.
is expensive? Is it as expensive as Mula, for example, right now? Would you think?
I don't know. Nowadays, China is a bit expensive, of course.
Yeah.
It was in 2016. It was already like expensive. In 2000, well, first time I was in China, it was 2005, 2007 probably, and it was cheap. In 2016, it was like expensive. Not that expensive, but still.
Crazy. What's something that is a cultural thing that changed between 10 to 20 years in Russia? I mean, I think if I say 20 years, I'm assuming it's Soviet Union at the time. No, Soviet Union is over 30 or 40 years ago.
33 already.
Yeah. So 10, 20 years ago, it used to be something that they did in Russia all the time, but right now it's just people frown upon the idea.
I think there's nothing changed in Russia.
Really?
Like,
Everything's just the same as it was 10, 20 years ago?
I guess so.
Come on, man. Really?
Yeah, this is my opinion, but probably somebody can text and write comments that I'm wrong, but basically, yes, nothing's changed. So,
What?
yeah.
The traffic in
I mean,
Russia.
cultural thing, yeah?
Yeah, cultural thing. Like,
yeah.
I don't like people, for example, 20 years ago, not 20 years ago, much less, more than that. 30 years ago, people used to smoke inside a plane, right? This was something that people used to do.
Well, probably we also gave up smoking in the planes, you know?
Most likely, yeah. Yeah, everybody. It was an international thing.
But, yeah.
Secondhand smoking one.
Yeah, but nothing special. I mean, yeah, no changes.
It's pretty much the same.
Same.
God, man.
Yeah, same. let's.
Cut it up.
Yeah, I guess so because this is our first podcast.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. There was a lot being spoken, a lot of it shared. I appreciate that. I like that.
I hope our people will enjoy
This
as
is
much as we
do. This has been
CJ.
and Mo.
Okay,
See you next week.
see you next week.